For 20 years, everyone ignored the homeless woman on Arborville's main street. The locals barely noticed her anymore, just a black woman in her late 50s sitting on the same worn bench day after day. Her short cropped hair was more out of necessity than style. Her skin weathered and lined from years in the sun. A crumpled cardboard sign rested in her lap, four words scrawled in fading marker: used to be somebody. She had once served in the army, but no one asked about that. No one wondered how she had ended up here. They just saw what she had become. Restaurant owners shooed her away. Mothers pulled their children closer. Teenagers jeered, and Elaine Moore simply endured because that's what she had learned to do. One hot afternoon, stomach growling, Elaine approached a cafe and asked about leftovers. The barista barely looked at her, checked the side door at closing, she said before returning to her work. Deflated, Elaine shuffled back to her bench. She didn't see the teenagers approaching until it was too late. They grabbed her tattered backpack, scattering the few belongings she had. They laughed as they found an old photograph. A young woman in uniform standing tall, proud, used to be somebody. They sneered before tossing it back at her. Elaine said nothing. She had learned that words wouldn't save her. She just gathered her things in silence, eyes burning but dry. That night, as she sat hunched in an alley, she devoured the stale pastries the cafe had discarded. Hunger had stripped away her dignity long ago. Then headlights cut through the darkness. A gold SUV rolled to a stop. Elaine tensed. The passenger window slid down, revealing a woman, neatly styled hair, expensive clothes, eyes that held something unfamiliar. "Elaine Moore?" she asked. Elaine stiffened. No one here knew her name. No one cared to know. "How do you know me?" she rasped, throat tight with suspicion. The woman who introduced herself as Alicia West worked for a veterans advocacy group. "We've been looking for you," she said softly. "Your mother reached out to us years ago." Elaine's heart clenched. Her mother, she had died long ago, and yet even in death, she had still been searching for her daughter. Alicia explained that there was a place for her, a transitional home for homeless veterans, a real bed, medical care, a way out. Elaine wanted to believe her, but life had taught her to expect disappointment, to expect nothing. Something about Alicia's voice, her steady presence, made Elaine hesitate. Then for the first time in years, she took a chance. She climbed into the SUV. As they drove, Elaine stared at her reflection in the window, hollow cheeks, sunken eyes. Once she had worn a crisp army uniform. Now all she had was that battered sign, "Used to be somebody." The SUV pulled into a quiet property, surrounded by towering trees. Inside, warm light replaced the harsh glow of street lamps. Staff greeted her gently, guiding her into a small office that smelled of books and coffee. Alicia explained the program: private rooms, medical care, therapy for PTSD, help finding work. Elaine barely heard her. Her mother had kept her file open. She had never stopped hoping. The weight of it crushed her. Tears came, unbidden, unstoppable. Alicia simply handed her a tissue and waited. For the first time in 2 decades, Elaine felt seen. That first night, she stood under a hot shower, letting the grime of 20 years wash down the drain. Later, in a real bed, she lay awake, listening to the silence. No street noise, no fear, just stillness. Days passed. Elaine attended group therapy sessions, met others who had once been lost like her. She got medical treatment for her foot injuries, worked with a counselor to reclaim an identity, an actual ID. She hadn't had one in years. One afternoon, Alicia knocked on her door. "Someone's here to see you." Confused, Elaine followed her to the foyer, where a middle-aged man stood nervously, holding a small gift box. He introduced himself as Thomas Moore, a distant cousin. "Your mother told me I might find you here someday," he said, voice thick with emotion. Inside the box was a pendant, old but polished, etched with a single word. Elaine clutched it to her chest. Even in death, her mother had been guiding her home. Time passed. Elaine worked through her guilt, her shame, her nightmares. She volunteered in the office, helping other veterans navigate paperwork. Slowly she rebuilt herself. One evening, Alicia led her to a library filled with books on resilience, healing. A bulletin board displayed photos of veterans who had made it, smiling, thriving. "You can be one of them," Alicia told her. "Your mother believed in you. Now it's time you believe in yourself. That night, Elaine found her old cardboard sign among her belongings. Used to be somebody. No, she was somebody. Months later, she stood in an auditorium, facing a room full of newly admitted veterans. They carried the same burdens she once had, and she told them her story. I spent 20 years on the streets, invisible, she said. Then one day a gold SUV pulled up, and someone called me by my name. She wiped her eyes, voice steady. It wasn't just a ride, it was a bridge. Some in the audience nodded, others wiped away tears.